I'd say 94, 90. That's when I claimed straight edge. I mean, I know we found it before that.
I just remember, for me, I think you came with Minor Threat.
Yeah, Minor
tape.
Threat Youth of Today.
You said listen to this, and we listened to it. We all, I think, just became like around the same time.
And I know it was like the right choice for us because when we first like claimed straight edge, like Chris said, like a lot of people think, oh, he's straight edge, he's a narc or blah blah blah. Like they actually think that it has something to do with them, but it was for us. It was our group of friends. It had nothing to do with anybody else. It's like we liked the way it made us. Like it was like a bond. It was a brotherhood like between us. You know, there was 5 of us, and everywhere we went, we know we had each other's back 110%. Nobody did anything stupid. Everybody was just together. And I mean, I think it made us stronger in the scene, and other people seen that, like, these guys are trustworthy, they always got each other's backs, they care about one another, and you know, once we said something, it was gonna happen. Like, it was never, we didn't go back on our word. It was just something, like I said, to this day, I mean, it's 18 years later, and I mean, I'm proud to call these guys my best friends, and I don't know how many people could say that, you know? And that's one thing not only straight edge, I think, does, I think hardcore does, because it's a friendship and a brotherhood. It's like something that I met people from when I was a kid, kids that went to school with me my whole life could come over to my house, and I would never even let them in my room by themselves. I can meet somebody through hardcore 5 times and let them stay at my house for a weekend when I'm not even at my house. It's just something that, it's just special, and like some people on the outside will never understand that.
The BFL, kind of how that get going?
That started before us was already going, and I guess we met up with those dudes at CC's, you know, local meeting spot. Those guys were like an hour away from us.
And that's from like Strasbourg area and stuff.
And they pretty much had the same sight in the hardcore scene as we did. Like, we liked the same bands, we showed up at the same shows. We knew, you know, who you fit with and who you don't. Kind of like just like a puzzle came together, and we just hung out a lot, and I just said, oh, why don't you guys?
And I mean, every show they were at, we were at. Every show we were at, you know what I mean? Vice versa. I mean, it's just we started talking, we all came together, and it's like when you have that much in common. Like BFL was never actually even between the immediate group. We never even said, oh, you're BFL, Chris. You're BFL, Jack. You're BFL. We just knew. It was like an automatic. Like nobody asked one another, like, oh, is this a crew? Is this a? It was always a group of friends. It was always like, we ever went somewhere and we went out of state, we had trouble here or there. It was just a group of friends that always
was
always
the same people who had each other's back no matter what. It was just like, if those guys got in a fight with out-of-towners, you had their back. I mean, corny as it might say, it was like going to shows, and if there was corny pit beef or mosh beef, you had each other's back, and that was that. Now, of course, everybody has families and jobs, and you make it as best you could, and like just try to help each other up. You're not worried about fights or anything like that, because we're in our 30s. No one cares about that.
It was never about the fights, but it was always, when you're in a band and there's 5 of you just go to a show, you could be 7, 8, 9, 10 hours away. And you know as well as we do, when you're at a show, there could be beefs with people. But them guys would talk to people, we would talk to people, and if they went anywhere and had beef with somebody, they knew that there was going to be something that they had to pay for when they came back to our area. And I mean, that's all it was. It was always like a respect factor. And then after a while, once people realize that you're the same as them, there's never any beef.
A lot of just the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area, sometimes there's always kind of wedges, seem to be divided.
Yeah, ever since I was going to shows. I remember when we first started going to shows, people were like, oh, they're from Nanny Coke, they're closet Nazis. And I don't know where it came from, because no one ever was about that. It's like, as soon as you got in the scene, you know, like, hey, that shit ain't accepted here. But that's just, that racism stuff gets thrown in back then. I mean, I see people try to do it now. It's just like, really, if someone calls somebody a racist at a show, you're like, no, they're not. That's 25 years ago. No one is.
I would always laugh the most at it, because these guys know I have black people in my family. You know what I mean? I have cousins that are black, you know.
But I don't know, there's always a hatred on our town, like I said. And that's why we took pride in, like, we're like, oh, here's your Natty Coke straight edge. And like, seriously, like a month later, a bunch of like other kids were getting it, and we got asked if we wanted a Wilkes-Barre Scranton straight edge hoodie when they were starting it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea.
No, it was cool, you know, but it's like, oh, we're kids, and we're like, oh, we don't have money, we just spent $30 on getting our own jacket. We want to cough up another.
I mean, honestly,
25.
we were honored when they asked us.
Yeah.
But to us, it was like our own. There was 5 of us, and it was our little group. Like we didn't know half of them.
I have trust issues.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't take it, because I think there's like 1-2 people that had them that are still straight edge.
Yeah.
And they happen to be down with us, and they're
Yeah.
2 real cool, trustworthy dudes. And but yeah, as for that, there's always a weird division. Like I said, like if someone, I'm a grudge holder, and if someone throws the first stone, that's it. Forget it. I don't forget. And just little petty little stuff like that, like, oh, like just, you know, tried to push you out of the scene, like
It wasn't bad.
passive aggressive way to try to push you away. And I think that goes on a lot. It goes on today. They try to make you feel outcasted, different groups of kids, different cliques, and it's retarded, but it happens. Like either you fight back the same way, being like, oh, I'll be passive aggressive to you too, I'll stick my nose in the air and turn my back on you, or fucking smack the shit out of somebody, which would be an easier way to get somebody out of the scene if you don't like them. But then again, if you're real and you like the scene and someone smacks the shit out of you because for some reason, and you stick around, that means you have heart, and like, I respect that more.
I have more respect, yeah.
Someone leaves the scene because they got fucking smacked for being an asshole. They don't know what it's about, and that's that. If you leave because, oh, I'm afraid, or even people who don't even get smacked up, leave the scene because they think they are. There's something in the back of their brain that's telling them this ain't their thing, you know, which I think is a good thing, because guess what? When I came into the scene, I heard horror stories, and it really wasn't hitting our area, you know, like the horror stories of Nazis in Allentown or wherever, like riots, and it didn't hit our area, and it was cool because our scene was just like, we're not gonna let it hit our area. I mean, I remember back in like 1992, there was like one incident where like one random Nazi that showed up at a show and got hit in the head with a chair, and that was it. You know what I mean? There was it just never came up this area. And then later on, after everyone clicked and became friends, and say if they did show up, they just got shown where the door was and they were out of here, and nothing ever developed with that kind of violence in our scene. Just basically shit talk between local area kids and whatever, shit happens.
My outlook on the Wilkes-Barre scene which was ours, like we would always go to music and we would always go to Scranton. And we seemed like we had more in common with the kids from out of town, like Philadelphia, Stroudsburg, like they would all travel to shows as we started to travel to shows. And we would find out, like we'd want to go to all the shows. I didn't care who was playing. If there was bands playing, I'd want to go to the show. And it was almost like for a while, like as the guys in Not Till Death said, I mean it still is in a sense, they would almost have hidden shows. They wouldn't barely flyer their show, they wouldn't do anything, they just wanted their group of kids at a show. And for a band to come through and only get that certain group of kids, to me I thought was unfair. Like there's another 100, 200, 300 kids that want to see these bands too, and you don't think the band would appreciate more if all the people were there from the whole scene? I mean, hardcore is supposed to be one scene and, you know, a family. I mean, that's how people can say it's corny, that's how I still think of it to this day. I always liked having everybody together. I mean, I wish it could be total unity. I mean, I know it can never happen. I mean, look at the world, it's totally fucked. But there was always that for me. I mean, I like seeing young kids go up. Like I even had a bad experience my first show. I went to N.A.S.E Bolorama, you know what I mean? I was the chubby little fat kid walking in the show. I had an Eagles t-shirt on, you know what I mean? And I kind of got like, almost like the racism card in my thing. Like, oh, why is this kid there? You know, why is he doing this and that? And I'm just like...
Yeah, they tell you to change your shirt or something.
Yeah, told me to change my shirt. And I was like, why, what's wrong? I had black football players on it. And I mean, at that time, racism was big in our area. And I was just like, I never wanted to go back. I mean, these guys got me to go back to the shows. And I seen that other places were totally different. But that first show for me was a horrible experience. And I was just like, oh, you know, and then I seen and I started meeting these other people. And I thought, man, there's only like 4 or 5 of these dudes that are fuck-ups. And I seen, as time went, nobody really liked the dudes. But to me, they were ignorant and they pretty much almost chased me out of the scene. As you see now, 20 years later, it's the most important thing in my life pretty much, besides my wife and my family, you know what I mean? This is my second family, and I just think about if I would have never went to that show again, And as I see younger kids come into the scene, it kills me when kids almost chase them away, because I was that kid that almost got chased away. And it breaks my heart, like, to see somebody that, maybe that's going to save their life. I mean, we have a lot of teen suicides, blah, blah, blah around here, and maybe that's what saved my life, because I mean, I went through a lot of shit. I got bullied, picked on, but now, like I said, it made me 110% stronger, and it's just something special. Like I said, I mean, you could change somebody's whole life with 1 or 2 words, so just always remember, like, stand up for somebody if you see them getting fucked with anything, because, like I said, it could be your last word you ever say to a person, and I don't mean to get real, but it is. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, so just remember, that's what's going to make a scene grow, is to keep the younger kids coming in, to keep the younger bands, to keep your fucking true friends, and the people that want to be there for that reason.
Yeah, I remember in the probably mid-90s, when CC's was like really blowing up, and let's see, bands like Madball and 25 to Life was like the #1 hardcore band out of New York.
Yeah, they were, man. It's like I
But,
said.
you know, whatever jokes aside now, they were the shit. They toured the world, they were it, and Rick sort of had a connection with our area because he was friends with
Richie,
other bands from like Strasbourg, and he got to give credit where credit's due. He brought a lot of bands to our area. He brought like Hatebreed, he brought VOD, and like they just blew up. They blew up in our area, and they blew up all over the fucking country, probably because of that guy helping them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
when you went there, it was like going to like how kids now go to the internet for music. His thing, that was it. That was, you would go there, he would have everything that you possibly could ever dream of. It was like, you know, like he said, it was a flea market of hardcore.
Yeah. Between him and John Dudek, rest in peace,
Yeah.
he just passed away in the last month. He had an awesome Very distro, which was the same thing. Like before Rick came here, he had his distro there. Everyone would get their 7 inches. Demos,
Yep.
CDs first came out and I refused to buy them.
This ain't taking off.
I was buying cassettes because it was $2 cheaper. We used to go to his house. His basement was just filled with boxes of t-shirts and CDs and stickers, and he'd go there and he was like, oh wow, he's giving us these free stickers, this is awesome. Like everyone's car in the 90s was covered with stickers, and that was just the thing to do. And like if it wasn't for John Very and Rick to Life, I mean, they really helped hardcore grow in our scene and just like open people's minds to different bands and everything. It was just
like, it actually hurt me like when like Rick kind of fell off his rocker, because like he did, like even our band, like he took us on our first like out of town tours. I mean, I would go with him for a whole week and go play, you know, go with him to play shows. It was my first like real New York City hardcore shows. Like he would take us everywhere. He'd be like, hey guys, you want to come in the van? We jump in the van and go for a week and a half to go to see shows. I mean, like that, we never experienced that, you know. It was neat to see other hardcore scenes. And at the time, New York City was like so far away for us, you know what I mean? And when we'd go there and you'd see a show at the, you know, at places, you'd just like, oh my God, I can't believe there's 800 people to see these bands. And then you would pick up a band shirt here, a demo, whatever, and these bands, and I mean, I have friends to this day that I've always met through, I met through going to other hardcore shows, and I mean, you have that bond forever. I mean, it's just great, you know, but it's like I said, I mean, people change. I mean, as you get older, I mean, everybody gets a little crazy, I guess, but, you know, I mean, it just sucks what happened to him, but like I said, I could never, like when Chris brought it up, I could never say that he didn't help our hardcore scene out, because 80% of the music that we have and we grew up on, we probably got off him. To have a little place like CC's get Biohazard, Downset, Dog Eat Dog, I mean, you Madball, Agnostic Front, Hatebreed. I mean, none of these bands were super huge at the time, but I mean, they were all the next level of hardcore. I mean, they're, you know what I mean, they were even ahead of their own time. Fury of 5, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, I could keep on going on. There's probably 100 bands I'm forgetting, but it was just, these bands came because he came and seen the sign of potential in our area. There was always kids there. Like it was like CC's was like a meeting ground. Like you would go there, and honestly, I know I said it in my Strength for a reason. You would go there, and when you pulled up, everybody would chant your name. Like if there was 300 people there, you probably knew 250 of them. And as them next 50 came, everybody would learn their name. Then there would be 350. It was just, it truly was like a little family, and it was just something special. Like I said, I mean, and I feel that now. I mean, with the Wilkes-Barre kids, we have like, you know, the Scranton kids, the Nanticoke, I mean, Stroudsburg. Like we're all starting to get along like real good again. And they're gonna start the new Redwood here. And like I said, we need a venue like CC's to get everybody back together, I think. Because it's like when you do it in a VFW, like not everybody comes out or this or that, because it's not a real venue. Because I think you'll get a lot of some more younger kids, because they'll be like, wow, there's shows here every weekend. Let's go see this band. And then they'll learn like, and you know, walk the ladder of seeing all different kind of bands. I mean, I like punk rock, whatever, you know, hardcore, it doesn't matter. I mean, metal, when we were growing up, and there was all kind of music. But it was like there was more, people would all play together. All different kind of bands would all get together. You could have 5 different kind of bands on a show. I mean, we had bands like Ossuary would play there, and we would play with them. I mean, it was just, you'd have metalcore. I mean, it was just so much.
Everybody had a venue to call their own.
Yeah, everybody.
About the different music genres.
Yeah,
everybody can come together at one place and be able to play shows.
But they all.
And we need that again. We need to have a place.
Yeah, they all had the same thing. It was all like more or less DIY. Nobody was worried about like what record label you were on or like who was who. Everybody was there because that was your venue. Everybody looked out for that venue because it was your venue. If it was metal, punk rock, hardcore, everybody wanted that venue to succeed.
Alrighty, well, straight edge and how we found it. Well, I would say probably since I'm the oldest.
The old man.
I don't know. I listened to music and I was probably senior year of high school. I remember it was, so that would be New Year's 1992. I decided I didn't want to drink anymore for a New Year's resolution. And then that summer decided to say, well, I guess I sort of said straight edge while I was in high school, because I remember people didn't like me because of it. They thought if you're straight edge, you didn't drink, you were a snitch or whatever, a weirdo. So it kind of got banned there. Wasn't cool anymore. Well, never got to be cool. But so I said, fuck that. And that summer, I decided to say, oh, straight edge now. And that's it. And that was summer 1992. So that would be 20 years ago. So that's cool. This is our 20-year anniversary. And but we didn't get jackets till like later on in the 90s.
Yeah. I didn't really understand that at first. I mean, I kind of listened to the music. I mean, straight edge seemed like for me it was a better, you know, life choice. I probably wouldn't say I started claiming straight edge until probably, I'd say 1995. You know, maybe late 1994. I just figured like, at first it was cool because he was straight edge. And I was like, wow, you know, it seems better. I see all these other people going out, getting drunk and doing all this stuff they don't remember, don't like. But for me, once I really, really understood what it meant, I'm like, that's the right choice for me. I took it on, and like I said, here I am, what was it, 1994 to 16, 18 years later, we're still straight edge, like I said, and I think it kept us close. We never did nothing stupid, you know what I mean? Never got in fights with each other, we were never drunk, we were always clear-minded. When we talked to people, we always knew what we were talking about because we were all on the same page. You never had to worry about your friends, you know, doing something crazy at a show, or you always knew they were in their right mind. But like I said, straight edge or not, I just think it was the right choice for us, and I think it really kept us and gave us a good bond throughout the years.
I knew they got the jackets made when we were still in high school, right?
Yeah.
So I was out of high school before them.
Yeah,
So I
it's
don't
2
know
years
when they
older
got
than us.
the jackets made. And basically we just got the jackets because it's the Nanticoke straight edge, because that's where we're from.
Yeah.
And there is kind of localism going on in the area.
Yeah,
And
and
the
then
scene is split up, even though we all live in a 5-mile radius.